try to dig the colorful things we say.
All right, and we are back
With another week.
with another week, another podcast called, well, that's your opinion, man.
Gosh darn opinion,
Wow,
man.
that was fucked up.
good,
All right.
good Lord opinion, man.
Good, damn.
Giggity.
All right.
Well, yes, welcome back. We are
Welcome
very
back.
happy to have you here. We have a special guest this week. Let me introduce Dennis the Menace. Sorry, that's the nickname, and you're going to have it forever. All right.
It's better than other ones.
So, okay, yes, well, that's your opinion. Is hosted by myself, Chris Marvel.
Brought to you by Andrew.
Brought to you by.
And guest starring Dennis.
That I
Starring
like
Dennis,
that. Yes,
the most
yes,
likely
perfect, yes.
reoccurring.
Welcome to our little tiny space that we are safe to talk about whatever the fuck we want and share it with the world.
This is a safe space.
Safe space.
Safe space.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Circle of trust, right?
Circle of
for
trust.
penis jokes as well as shit.
All right.
Well, perfect. So I think we'll just get kind of started.
Let's
off
get to
here.
it. Let's
We're just
get
gonna
to it.
Jump right in because it's
Yes.
9:15 on a fucking Wednesday.
Listen, you guys, it's a school night, y'all.
It's a damn school
Do
night.
you guys need to
oh no,
swear
it's
so much?
Thursday.
Do you need to?
Do you really need to swear so much?
Should I not swear this much?
Oh, it's not Thursday. It's Swears Day.
Okay.
So-
I'm sorry.
There we go.
I'll let it go.
Have you not listened to this podcast?
I have. I
You not listened? I have a very fine vocabulary.
I swear like a
vocabulary.
motherfucker.
I swear like a garshgarn. Okay.
A Garshgarn,
Garshgarn.
a Garland girl. What?
Kids, watch your mothers.
Hide your kids, hide your wives, you know. All right. So anyway, so
Go ahead.
let's get into it. So we have 2 beers for the week. It's a nice Thursday. It's Thirsty Thursday, so let's talk about them.
The reason, so I purchased these beverages today that you are all currently enjoying, and I wanted to give the listener here a range of where we kind of stand in the world.
Ooh, yeah. So I am walking Dwight, and I see Andrew pull up in his car, and he's getting beer out of his car, and I see this large cylindrical container.
Container.
I see this large cylindrical.
That's what happens when you shit yourself.
Yes, container. I can't contain it all.
You tainted your taint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he pulls out a large cylindrical container full of alcohol, and I yell across the street, "Man, is that a 40?"
And it was.
And it
absolutely
was. It is.
I got you the nice one, though. Double malt.
Ooh, it's a double malt.
Double malt.
What is this double malt? Who makes this double malt beer?
Do we just all kind of Colt 45 to zigzag?
Colt 45,
Baby, that's
bitches.
all we need.
Yeah.
That's all.
So
the
we're
words I
keeping
know.
it classy, you guys.
Yes. So it was for 40 ounces, which is what, 4 beers, 5 beers?
No,
Yeah.
12 ounces is 1 beer.
I think 8 ounces of beer. Okay, so that's like 4 beers.
It's like, yeah.
3 beers.
3.5.
Okay, 3 beers,
Three.
and it was $2.50.
So, yeah. The deal of the
yeah.
day, you guys.
Deal of the day.
How do you not?
If you're on a budget, drink your 40s.
Oh,
kids.
there's
All
plenty
right?
of people drinking that on a budget, man.
Oh yeah. If you ever need a 40 and you have no money, just go to your local bus stop. and,
I will say that. So I worked at a liquor store. We would purposely actually raise our 40 pricing to keep out the riffraff.
No way, really.
We would. Yep. So
And why
40s
carry him at all?
So 40s, well, because it's a moneymaker. Because these people will pay the fucking $5 for
Who
a
are
40.
these people?
Oh, there's people out there, man.
These people? What do
These
you mean by
people.
that?
Oh, I meant those people. Yeah.
We can edit that out.
They do that with single cigars at certain corner stores.
Correct.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just get those white owls. Come on.
Yeah. Do they even have? Or do they have Optimos at all?
No,
just
that's
white.
a child.
That's
Is
white.
that a candy cigar from your
No,
childhood?
that is not, no. All right. Anyways, so that's the first beer. Okay. And-
Absolutely.
I think
and
Andrew got it for the
talk
affinity towards Trump. 45.
40. Oh,
45.
making political connections over
Okay,
here.
I like that.
it.
The connections
he
are-
just kind of really classy the place up.
You classy the
there.
place,
Okay.
you know.
I got to set my
Told
game
you,
up
I
here.
looked at him and again, I went freeze.
No.
He's
Lost
like-
in
I
those
was like-
baby browns.
That's awesome.
Let's all take a sip here,
Okay,
and then
we're
we
all
are
done.
going to. So, Colt 45 double malt. This is going to be the baseline for beers. Let's get this right. Okay, so we know whatever we rate this,
So this is at 0.
this could possibly maybe be our 0. I don't know. This is what should be our 0. All right,
Okay, there we go.
cheers,
Yeah,
guys.
we're
Here we
cheers.
go.
Oh, no cheers. No.
Oh, fuck it. Just come on. Let's get over here. There we go.
There we
Cheers,
go.
cheers.
All right.
Radio silence.
Yeah, that's good. One thing I have noticed is, Jesus Christ, after every we drink so many like high alcohol beers, craft brews, like hoppy porters,
on the beach.
all the sex on the beach. Yes,
Fucking beer.
But what's so crazy is once
Gin and gingers?
yeah, gin and gingers, whiskey gingers.
Oh, yeah.
Can I get an apple teeny?
I'm an apple teeny. What's right?
Heavy on the apple, light on the teeny.
Anyways, drinking like Budweiser, Bud Lights, Millers, you really tell like it's such they're sweet beers.
That is like the sugariest beer I've had in a very long time.
Yeah, it's sweet now.
Yeah,
it's
that's super
crazy.
sweet.
Once you
We're also drinking a porter before it though, so that probably that
Maybe,
contrast is really heavy on it.
so we have two beers. The second one is of course Founders, their porter.
Porter, yeah, which is actually, I think this is the first time I've ever gotten their porter.
Oh, shit, okay.
Which is surprising to me because Founders is my favorite brewery.
Yeah.
I love their breakfast stout. Dennis, are you much of a beer drinker?
Not at all.
No,
I love
no,
it.
okay.
Not at all.
But
No, that's all right.
I've
He's partaking.
accepted beers more lately.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
cool,
Instead
yeah.
of turning them down, I'll say, okay, I'll take it.
I'll try.
Okay,
Just try a
okay.
taste, whatever. Yeah.
No, that works. I am an alcoholic, and Chris is right there behind me, I think.
He's like this.
I'm here for you, man.
This is.
We have a good group, okay?
I like it. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that for the week. Let's kind of
Yeah.
let's play
I got,
just the tip.
I got hit by a car today,
right.
which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Some asshole hit my car twice at a stoplight and then took off. And I chased him down and I lost him trying to dial 911. I was pissed.
Apparently, this guy was going.
Vigilante force.
I got fucking hit and ran today. I'm like, shit, man. It's like a
Did
bad
you get a look
one-night
at him?
stand. No, I was like, what kind of car is he driving? Oh, he's driving some shit piece. I don't even fucking know. Like,
Oh.
I
Where-
don't
what-
know.
where
what
was
kind
this
of-
at?
Probably a sob.
It was in Minneapolis.
How many blocks did you chase him?
Like half a mile. Like
Wow.
going.
This dude
like,
said
I
he was going like
going.
80 miles an hour. or
He was
something?
hauling 80, and like after he got a block ahead of me, I'm like, fuck it, and I just pulled over, and I like there was like no damage. like there's no damage. Like it sounded really bad when he hit me, but I was like, I got out of the car while I'm on the.
So how did he hit you? Did he sideswipe you?
No, like he just like stoplight backed it, hit my bump. my
Oh,
back
he.
bumper.
Oh, so he went too far
He
out.
didn't stop. Yeah, he just
Oh,
didn't
okay.
stop, and then he hit me. I'm like, you motherfucker.
Like,
I chased him
the
down
fuck,
really
man?
just for like justice in the world type causes, you know. Like,
Wow, that had to be pretty traumatic for him.
fuck this dude. Like, man, I just
Has
hope
to
his
be
I
pretty
hope his
traumatic
car
for
just
him.
got
Yeah.
fucked
It's
up.
like what? This guy's fucking following me.
No, you fuck him. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm so
no.
mad. I was so mad. But that was a fun thing that happened to me
Cool.
this week.
Yeah.
There.
So, as far as me this week, it seems like the week went fast. It's been so kind of uneventful.
Okay.
But I went up to Pine City this week up north and hung out with some good guys and shot a couple guns and did this and that. And next thing you know, it's Thursday and tomorrow's Friday.
Did you shoot like skeet shooting, or did you just like shoot at?
No,
targets?
there's a big sort of uprooted tree that's
Okay.
right in the backyard.
There you
It's,
go.
it's like a 5x5.
Okay.
And then a couple different types of guns and
You
just
shoot some like beer cans off of them.
no. Well, that just shot at it.
No, they shot each other.
Shot at. Oh God.
I twirled it and it just went
Bang, bang,
kinda-
bang, bang, bang.
Yep, in a circle.
Oh fuck!
Watch this, guys. Oh shit.
But I hadn't probably shot a gun for I'd say probably years before that, and it's
Really?
like the 44 just kicks.
It's
It's like the
44, yeah.
the 45. It's just I don't see how they aim because the gun kicks.
44 special, right?
So when it kicks, you got to re-aim. And it's a little different if you're not
Was it a
used
44 special you're shooting? What? I shot a 44.
Listen, every gun is special, okay?
gun special. All guns matter.
All guns matter.
Oh fuck. I shot a 44 and I loved it. Like I
Yeah, no,
love
it was
revolvers.
nice.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. You obviously we didn't shoot the same gun, but it's like a smooth trigger pull. I liked it a lot. Revolvers in general, I love.
Did it ring your ears or were you wearing some?
We had protection.
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
I had conscious.
Boom.
Oh, that's
Really?
Yeah,
Don't
fuck.
do that.
That's- yeah.
Oh shit.
What is that? You stop.
Well,
You- you-
if the other guy did it, I got to do it.
Oh
like that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's all.
You know what I mean?
No.
Man up. Yeah.
Why do you have tinnitus?
But stayed up too late, and then it seems like I haven't even really recovered from
Past your
that.
bedtime.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Shit happens. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. I was up until 10:30 last
Were you
night.
drinking
Oh, my
Pepsi too,
goodness.
Dennis? Were you drinking Pepsi at night?
You know that upsets your stomach.
well,
okay.
You know, actually, the funny thing is a buddy of mine is making his own kind of alcohol. So he's been doing it
Moonshine
from wheat.
or-
Moonshine, you could call it moonshine or
Yeah.
rice liquor.
Okay,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Toilet
So-
beer.
Sake.
Yeah. Well, he's had the whole like copper tubing and
Yeah.
boiling it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So he's got some of that. So we were taking a couple
So
shots
distilling.
No way.
Yeah.
He's got to just. I want to do that.
of
So
that.
bad.
Yeah, this guy wants to
Fuck,
distill.
I want to make whiskey. I want to make fucking whiskey.
Put it in this
so
random ass
badly.
barrel.
It seems pretty simple.
yeah.
You just
It-
got to kind of get your technique.
It's
Yeah.
beer made. It's beer made out of corn. That's all it is. There's a little difference, but
But the only
With
thing that makes
distilling.
whiskey good is like putting it in a barrel and just leaving it
Letting
somewhere
it
for
sit
like
for a
ever,
little
Yeah.
right?
But the thing is like you could do that for a little bit, but you can also make it and just drink it then. You know,
Or
it,
it
would
all-
have no
Clear-
it would have no
clear
color.
whiskey.
Yeah.
Or it all kind of tastes like
Be great
crap
alcohol.
alcohol anyway. So if you're
It
just
tastes
gonna,
like burning.
what
This
does
is
it
really
taste?
good.
5% better.
do
We
the
aged it
berries
17
taste,
years.
Ralph? Yeah.
It tastes 2% better.
How does the berries taste, Ralph? They taste like burning.
I love it.
Fuck, dude. Old Simpsons are the best Simpsons.
No, I used to watch 2 episodes a day, 4 and 5.
It's yeah.
I used to watch 2 episodes a day, 5 and 5:30.
Yeah, well,
And
it was
then there
probably
some days. There was some days that it was 5, 5:30, and then 10, 10:30. 4 a day.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
yep. That was the life back then. Without a life.
Yeah. Honestly,
When you're kids, whatever. You know.
I grew up with 2 channels, or 3 channels: PBS, Fox 43, and the Jesus Channel. That was it.
I was gonna say the fuzzy channel where I could
So
see
you
a
gotta-
boob.
This is over there.
Yeah, that used to be that way too.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
It's a fuzzy. You can kind of see something. Like,
There we go.
So then you got a good healthy dosing of Benny Hinn then.
Who's Benny Hinn?
Well, if you got the Christian channel,
I never
you had
watched
to get
it.
him. Where
I
he's,
never watched
oh,
it,
he's
unfortunately.
known for waving his coat, and they just
Oh,
fall
fuck
over.
off. I hate those dudes so much. You know who's really weird is that old couple. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, no,
Jack
this
Van
guy.
Imp,
Pairs.
and they sit in front of like a globe thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are they called? I'm gonna
Well,
look them up really
his-
quick.
anyone who's had a lot of plastic surgery, just it makes it hard for me to kind of just accept
Relate?
that you're a hump. Yeah, relate.
yeah.
And his wife has got a lot, like Joyce Meyer.
She looks like
You
a
look at-
fucking like a Malibu Stacy doll since we're
Yeah.
on the.
Well, you look at Joyce Meyer; she's got like a Joker smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of
Look at
vanity.
me, I'm young.
Well, it's a lot of ecclesiastics and vanity on vanity, and it's just a little too much.
It's like when they're talking about morality and wholesomeness, and you see this plastic doll
Yeah.
sitting next to
Yeah,
him.
but okay. I'll
It's like,
say.
if my wife doesn't look like she's 30, I'm gonna fuck someone else.
Well, but, yeah,
That's what I
but
get
here's the
from
thing,
it.
though, is I guess my whatever rebuttal is with Joyce Meyer. Let's say she's getting plastic surgery, right? Do you think it's not just because she just wants to look better, or if it's? Do you think she has people kind of pressuring
It's
her?
possible, I
like
mean-
to look more appealing.
Who's Joyce Meyer?
She's
Oh,
she's
she's got like a, let's say she's
a female
rich.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
that's a
got some
very well
cheekbones.
put-
I'm looking at her right now.
Very well put.
That was a very well put thing you just said.
She got some cheekbones. That's for sure.
Yeah, she's basically like what they call a heretic.
Oh, I think you were gonna say a chipmunk, but
Oh yeah, well that too. That too. I mean,
It does look like a chipmunk. Yeah.
but
Sure.
you know, I think it was not too long ago that she had like a $20 million compound that she had to sell because of the
Why do all these pastors have compounds? and shit?
or
Wait,
planes.
What's a I think of compound.
Well, it's
with,
just like a big house.
Oh,
but it was like under the church's
state.
label, but it was theirs.
Oh.
It's like Nancy Pelosi flying all over the country in the
Yeah.
taxpayer's jet, even though she's got $29 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, her husband's like a millionaire.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh god. Yeah.
Well,
they're
smart land
social
deals.
elites in California. Fuck yeah. Of course they have to be millionaires.
Smart.
Well, it's just a
Landia?
coincidence, though.
It's
like that.
fucking dumb.
I like that.
Oh yeah.
Their net worth, like the number of millionaires in Congress, is astounding.
Well, what's the richest part of the country is the suburbs of D.C.
Yeah, which
not
is
know
super interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
No.
Oh god, yeah.
And now you do.
So they were actually
Now
talking
you know.
about pushing out government agencies to like these lower income areas of the country, just to spread the wealth that our government's creating. And the thing, it's all investments in lobbying and bullshit like that, backroom deals. The thing is I'm libertarian.
They're
I
not
don't
called
know
backroom
if
deals.
you
It's
are-
backroom facials.
There you go. Glory hole.
Did you say Gloria Borger? I'm just
Abortion. Abortion.
Abortion?
I have no clue.
She's looking. No, that's a. What are you talking about? It's the lead political commentator on CNN. Okay, you got to keep up with the who's and who's. Gloria Borger's been
Apparently.
there for years, and the reason I thought of her.
She's
well,
not
then you
pretty.
you do now.
Yeah, okay.
But if you look
She's
at her,
not
she
good
looks like
looking.
no. Well, she's been around. She looks
Oh,
good
I know
for
her.
her
Yeah,
age.
she looks
yeah.
familiar.
But she
Yeah.
kind of got a Joyce Meyer thing going on with all of those injections.
Oh,
You
okay,
could
yeah,
tell.
yeah.
See, that's okay. I think this is where the difference is because you, Dennis, I think listen to you listen to a lot of the some fringe stuff, but you also listen to a lot of mainstream. Am I mistaken?
Well,
on that?
well, it's sort of like information is it's everywhere, and you got to kind of dip into everywhere that it's available. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Because I listen to a lot of YouTube. Like I said, I'll listen to I'll flip it back and forth between what is like the AM 950 progressive, AM 1130 is conservative, and AM
Yep.
1280
So when
is
you're
still
on the job,
conservative.
'cause
You know what I
going to
mean?
the work site?
And it's the type of thing where you kind of pick and choose throughout. But Facebook labels me very conservative.
Ah.
So
Oh yeah. You can see how
Yeah.
they label you. I forgot. I want to look that up. Kind of actually.
my
That's
one
kinda a fun
buddy,
thing
he's
to
like,
look
"Oh,
at,
I'm
yeah.
labeled moderate." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Well, it's like I cannot watch CNN for the life of me. I've tried.
It's entertaining to me because I like provocative politics. Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to watch, I like the politics, so I got to go
Sure.
somewhere. They got like these lower ones, Newsmax TV, and they got MSNBC, and then the Fox, and I like watching it. But it's like you said before early, it's too agreeable.
Yeah.
I like it to. I want to hear them sort of accuse the other, and then hear the other accuse them, and then realize the stuff they won't answer to is the stuff that's probably true, and then you can piece it together yourself.
No, you're
So-
totally right there. I was listening to NPR this morning, and this guy, they were interviewing. It was like 6:30 in the morning, super early, and this guy's just like, "Yeah, Republicans are racist," and the interviewer's like, "Well, I've really enjoyed having you on today." I'm like, "What the fuck, man?" Like,
Well, that's
come
how it
on.
is.
What is going on
Yeah.
here? Like,
Well, when you listen to AM 950 and you hear like Stephanie Miller in the morning, that's it's literally it's one team cheerleading for the other.
it's and we're gonna get into this a little bit because I think we're gonna kind of hit some topics right
Okay,
now.
cool, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get into
Let's jump in here.
Perfect
So
segue.
Donald Trump has there's been some weird shit going on regarding John McCain stuff going over his dead body.
Like he's throwing stuff over his dead body?
No, like
You seen the movie Black Hawk Down?
Yes.
Yeah, where they drag the body.
Yes.
That's John McCain now.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really
Black
good.
Hawk
Yeah,
Down.
that's a really good way to put it. So basically, and I don't know why Donald Trump brought up John McCain in a speech he gave.
What was the speech about?
Well, he's touting jobs in Ohio.
He was there talking for his presidential campaign.
Pretty much, but it's jobs in Ohio.
Doing his tour. Well, no.
He's
Why was
been-
he talking about jobs in Ohio? He
Well,
went there for
he's
his
been doing that for
re-election
years.
tour.
Yeah, no, but
I mean,
that's
he-
his thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was doing it in Duluth,
Okay.
during the primaries.
Obama
and
did
shit,
it a lot
so-
too.
Yeah,
I mean,
oh, no,
that's
everyone, yeah.
your
Yeah.
It's like sort of you're doing all of it under one roof.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like he's campaigning, he's fundraising
Oh,
too.
okay,
He's
gotcha,
also
okay.
getting his little rally mojo going, and
Yeah.
then it's also good sound bites. Like
So he's talking,
talking here.
and then how did he get on that subject?
He more or less just brought up. I don't know why he keeps bringing up John McCain because I think it's only going to hurt him. Because once he brings this up, he doesn't have time to battle the narrative that's brought up after it. So he brought it up because he was
like
mad
damage control. or
Yeah,
whatever,
he was
yeah.
mad
well,
at John
especially
McCain.
with such good economic numbers.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Why bring it up? Yeah, so he was mad at John McCain because John McCain apparently had assisted in the Russia investigation.
He had done many things that Trump doesn't like.
Yes, and obviously John McCain, he wouldn't have said it publicly, but he guaranteed John McCain hated.
Well, I think he did say it publicly too.
might have
He
said
was
something.
disdainful a little
He
bit.
did not
They were
like
both
Donald
kind of like
It was
we
a
don't
fuck
like each
you
other.
relationship. Not
Those two, John McCain and President Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Donald Trump brings him up and says, I just didn't like the guy. I didn't like the guy. Gave him a nice funeral. No one said thank you. Yeah, and the thing was those little sound bites, which is all that the majority of Americans can consume.
It's trolling.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can consume. It gets boiled down to that little statement I just said. If you watch the video, it's not horrible.
No.
Honestly, what he's saying, he's more like just explaining himself why he didn't like John McCain, and then just throwing out these little things.
Basically he's just saying supporting why he doesn't like him.
Yeah,
but
he's like,
then
I just didn't like the guy. He did this. I didn't like that. And then I did this for
So
him.
what?
and
You
blah,
can't
blah,
talk
blah.
about a dead man?
Yeah,
Well,
well, the whole thing is it gets framed in this way, and now he doesn't have time to rebuff it because he's the fucking president.
Yeah, but it does serve other purposes because he's saber rattling his brand against John McCain's brand because that's a big sort of fraction within the Republicans. Because within hours that day, John Kasich is on TV,
you were talking about
capitalizing right on it. On there saying, I really didn't want to do this, and leaning up in his chair and taking the high road. And he's grandizing, so then that way he can get that prestige of, wow, look at him.
Yeah.
But one thing that stuck out to me, and not to compare Trump to a great general or something, but it's like
John Kasich was on CNN simply because he had bad
Oh,
viewpoints.
absolutely.
That's the only reason why he
well,
was
that
put
was
out there.
absolutely what it is. But it was even a lot more than that. But because they want to keep that brand alive.
Yep.
They're actually acting like they're mad Trump's president. And that's literally he's acting like he's
So you're saying
advocating
you
for the
don't
other
think
side.
that they are mad at he isn't president.
Well, I don't think they want him. Like I sent a message to you guys saying that it seems like Republicans don't want power because then you have to govern, and there's more incentives to be the opposition party than there is to be the party in control. You know what I mean? But and like I was just saying a second ago, is not that I'm comparing Trump to Patton. That was mine.
Oh,
but
I
he's
thought it was a fart.
oh
No,
no,
it sounded like a fart.
I thought Chris
that was
farted.
my phone just buzzing. But it's like with somebody who's like a field general.
Yep.
The way that Trump is like a CEO. You know what I mean? And you'd be surprised how much business and military
He
counter.
is much more results oriented.
Well, and he's like, and to me is like when I watch the movie Patton or read about him, it's like he's on all the time.
Yeah.
It's like a Vince McMahon to kind of give it in the entertainment world. Vince is always on. It's always about business.
I
think with
compare
Trump, it's
Donald
about
Trump-
business, and
I
he's
would compare
battling.
Donald Trump more to Vince McMahon than Patton, though. In my
Well, I
personal
would
opinion.
say, there's good and bad attributes and characteristics, but
it's similar drive. Yeah, I absolutely understand.
well, I mean, he is the chief. You know what I mean? Right
Somehow,
now,
he is the chief.
yeah.
which-
So I mean,
yeah.
the general of he's basically in control of the military.
What I can say is basically the best way I can put it is that the party that's not in power, they get themselves so worked up, they set their hair on fire, and then they run to the side of a pool to jump in. They get elected. They don't want to jump into the pool because they're worried about how deep it is. It's like, oh my God, we've said so much shit. What do we do? What if we do all this? What happens? I don't know. Nobody knows. And that is why I do not like liberals in any sense because they want to do so much. They want to take so much control of so much. I don't like Republicans because it's similar. It's basically two parties fighting over the same amount of money, just wanting to spend it differently.
Yeah.
Is how I see it.
Mom and dad, and both want you to agree with them in the divorce.
Like divorced. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yep.
Honestly. And
Yeah.
then you go over for Christmas and they're like, oh, I didn't plan anything. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So that was kind of one of the interesting things there. But I guess continuing on
So
here.
Are you saying that the what's it called? Independents, not liberals, libertarians, are they like the cool stepdad? Is that what's going on?
No,
That'll kind of smoke
libertarians are
pot?
that weird uncle.
No, the cool stepdads that was like, I mean, hey,
Oh, cool stepdads?
If you want to,
You can call me dad.
If you want to smoke pot, it's cool, but just like not in the house.
I saw.
I can't beat you legally,
I
so
can't, like, hey, it's your choice. If you want, to smoke pot, or like,
you can call me dad. They never will. You can call me president. We won't ever call you president. All right.
I saw a good video yesterday of McCain and Ron Paul going back and forth.
John McCain.
John McCain in the
McCain
07.
Not like.
Well, and there you go. You see again, John McCain is over and over again on the wrong side of what I believe is the good side that history will reflect is the good side.
So,
and in that exchange, you could see that Ron Paul was like, he was almost like treating John McCain like he was a lightweight, like looking at him like you're a lightweight.
Ron Paul is a mental heavyweight. Wow.
Well, and it was obvious
Paul's
that John McCain was like, I'm a politician.
strong.
I do this.
Yeah.
You know, war hero, yes.
The one thing I understand about John McCain is that he is incredibly, he was a war hawk. He wanted the military to do
Bomb
damn
Iran.
near everything. Yeah, he wanted
Bombs over Iran.
Well, the thing was, he wanted like
I like that song actually.
Don't pull the bangs out.
he wanted what's it called when you attack them before they attack you?
Was that preemptive?
Preemptive strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially against Iran because they're so-called nuclear weapons. You know,
And they did. They ran.
they ran, and
so
I ran.
far away.
They're so far away.
But all right, let's just keep on chugging here
Yeah.
because it's 9:40 on a Thursday.
You keep announcing
And,
the time.
That's what NPR does. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but that's because they're
Okay.
live.
You're not
They're letting
speaking.
people know.
With a monotone.
People are like, it's like I'm in my car driving. It's like doing like what? It's not 10 p.m.
It's 8:01,
But-
and the news is next.
But look, I also think that Trump's also trolling. He's trolling the media to call him names because that works for him.
What
Look,
does that
I'll
do, though?
admit, before the government shutdown, I gave him a little more benefit in that area, but he totally fucked himself during the shutdown, and now.
like with the shutdown, how
Because when he decided, he's like, well, fine, I'm just going to then do it.
Yeah. I considered him someone that played his cards closer to the chest. That he was playing more of a game of chess instead of checkers than we believed him to be doing. But he did not get enough done in his first 2 years for me to feel like he is pulling the strings that he needs to be pulling for it.
Well, you know, I slightly disagree in the way that when I would talk to even like there's one guy that I talked to is left leaning, right?
Yep.
But I mean, I would say he's more progressive, but he's a Christian.
Okay.
So you know, we have different. We sort of have talks that go down a sort of a path where we can kind of have a balanced conversation.
Sure.
And because he's pro-life and this and that.
Yep.
When I was asking him, about voting, the reason he was leaning for Trump is because of the Supreme Court. And to me,
Oh, sure.
everything,
Yep.
everything else, and this is why it was easy to sort of, not, like you said, I don't want to sit and defend Trump,
Yeah.
but it was easy to say Supreme Court, single issue for me.
Yeah.
And he
Sure,
delivered on those
sure.
two things.
And
and
that is
you
one
have
way.
to,
Yep.
you have to, and the way to govern is so different because he didn't have a supermajority. He couldn't do anything, even with and plus Paul Ryan and McCain are on the same type of team. You know what I mean? So he did as much as anyone could do, given that he was really it was like you running because it's like they were just dead against him because he's an outsider.
So I don't know how much we can really talk to in regards to the Supreme Court. I'll admit I'm not a Republican, and
Well, I'm not saying Gorsuch was great or Kavanaugh
he
was great.
was better than what would have been put up there.
If we would just to talk about that is, we talk about just the simple. We talk about amendment rights, but going away in New Zealand like with the gun control, but that's a real issue. If it goes one way,
I think the next
thing
two
you know-
topics. The next two topics we want to talk about, I think, really does show why I am happy that we have conservative judges on the Supreme Court. Is because we're about to talk about New Zealand and their gun law, and then we're going to also talk about free speech in general and these common language documents that are getting sent out from colleges and things like that, as well as what's happening in the UK, where it's. Canada just passed a law saying it's against the law to misgender somebody.
Yeah.
The UK, the police are investigating misgenderings. They are transphobia, misgenderings, those kind of things. That thought, the thought control, thought crime thought crime is an actual thing in these other countries. One interesting thing before we kind of go, the United States is the only country that has in their constitution a free speech amendment.
Yeah, and that's kind of why the Supreme Court was important to me, because when we say conservative, you think conservative what? Conservative to the Constitution. That is, I mean, even
That is
Bono.
the hope, yes.
I mean, you can even hear
I was
Bono
just
from
thinking
U2.
Catholics.
From even a guy like him is, it's a beautiful document. You know what I mean? It's an idea.
Yeah.
And the world is like, wow. And it made it better. So if you're conservative to that thing that gave us the magic, that's the guy I want. If you're telling me that, well, we're going to interpret it how we feel or what we think,
Yeah.
I don't want you.
Yep,
Especially
yep.
if you got control over me, no.
I think,
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people actually think that being conservative is the image of the white picket fence in the 50s.
Pleasantville, yeah.
Sure.
Restriction.
Yep,
And,
yep.
and like with racism, segregation,
Yeah.
all of that. Like
Yep.
this is how it should be. This is like we
Yeah.
want to keep.
This is what
America.
I'm used to. This is
what
how
I'm-
it's going to be.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's
yep.
like that's not just because you are a conservative doesn't mean that I want things the old ways and I want them to whatever. It's just more like, hey, there are certain values. These are certain things that you do believe in that you don't always feel like you want to budge. And
Well-
just, I mean, like you can't, like, it is okay
Yeah.
to want to keep your values.
The thing is it's to me it's anti-coercion towards someone else's idea. They have these ideals and maybe we don't all agree with all of them, But the thing is it's
Whatever you're
it's,
about to say, I'm not going to agree with it.
Probably not.
No, so.
It's that you shouldn't diddle kids. Okay, Chris, go ahead. Oh, fuck. No, in my mind, it's about don't tell me what to do, which I think of a government standpoint,
Wait, what do you mean? Don't tell me what to do.
don't interfere with my life. Let me do what I want to do.
So
Like an intrusive government.
Yes,
so
it's
wait,
intrusive government.
and you're saying that's-
which is what I believe conservatism to be.
Oh.
Is against intrusive government, just letting people be, letting people
Really?
make the
Conservatives?
decisions.
I mean,
To me,
Well,
it's,
really?
it's-
Well, when you get down to, like I've said for years, when you look at prohibition, that's not a conservative movement.
No,
That's
yeah.
a red hat progressive movement for the betterment of society. So a lot of even there's a lot of things that we ascribe to the goody two shoes church types that really that's not where it was. You know what I mean? So.
yeah, it was.
when I hear people talking about, sorry,
And, well, no, this is where us growing up is different. So go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say like when I hear people talking about being conservative or conservatism,
Nope.
deeply rooted in Christian Catholic beliefs.
Yeah, well, even in
And-
that
and
too.
so that's very
Yeah.
much
Christian Protestant.
or whatever.
There's
Yeah.
a whole
Did
thing
you
about
just say Chris
Protestant.
Shootem Protestant?
Christian Protestant.
Christian
Christian
Protestant.
Catholic is more liberal, I think.
Well, I'm just saying
Look at the
Christian
damn
slash.
poll. Oh, I guess maybe not.
Catholic.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You know,
No, I mean, no,
I
Christians
sometimes
are-
all of
it's
those
just-
different
it's a
labels
muddy-
I
yeah,
really
yeah,
don't
yeah,
get.
yeah.
I'm kind of like I consider myself a simple Christian where I just read the Bible.
Sure.
And it's if it's not
But
in there,
I
then,
feel like that's the definition of Christian, though.
Yeah.
Catholic is
well, and I'm glad you said
Protestant.
that
What, you know what I mean? Like
because there's a certain sort of marriage between I've asked people who are a college professor, what do you think is the most Eurocentric ideology? They say Christianity. Well,
No.
progressive enlightenment is the oldest Eurocentric ideology known to man. But the point is, the fact that you think it's Christianity is ridiculous. Christianity has nothing to do with Europe, and number
correct.
two, Catholicism has nothing to do with Christianity. Only in the aspect of it's like football and tennis are both sports.
Correct.
So
or
it's
like
a type of thing
football
where a
and
lot of
soccer.
football and football. Football and football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One's they're eating bacon, and the other they're eating paninis.
There we
I'm
go.
just kidding. But those things got married somehow, and I think if you look at like all of us have this viewpoint that we receive through education.
Yeah.
So
True.
it's like a weird thing where enlightenment and sort of logos they're at odds. Order and chaos. you know, and it's all they're kind of fighting for us. That's why we see in the marketplace up is down and down is up, you know, and you know, boys are girls, this, that, the other, you know. I mean, we were talking about that.
I want to order a non-gender T-shirt. What?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So-
what do you want, male or female?
What size do you want?
What
Or,
size do
yeah,
you want,
what-
male
what,
or female?
Yes.
man.
Okay. So there
I
was
love
this
that,
video on YouTube where this person's trying to order a "There's More Than Two Genders" T-shirt.
Yes.
And they go and they're like, "What kind of size do you want?" And it's male, female.
though. Male or female? I'm like,
It's hilarious. It's regardless of your thought of it, it is a hilarious thing. How do you size a Z or a they them? How many
it's
neck
just-
holes does a they
it's
them
all-
have?
It's all it is just like when you get there's
Gender is over, Chris.
I just got my
Gender is over.
I just got my T-shirt and it wasn't a male or female. It was just unisex. That's
It said that on it?
Yeah, it just says unisex.
Wow.
Well,
No wonder it's so loose in the chest.
So,
Okay.
no, but no, I mean like that's unisex means it's whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I did a job for a college professor.
Yep.
Who, I'm talking with him through the job, and he says that in 20 years from now, gender is going to be like race, where we won't even think about it.
I remember I was,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like that.
That's
No,
all we think
Yeah.
about. That's
No,
all we think
but you know
about
what made me think about is all the Star Trek shows and all the future shows up until like 2000 some. They didn't even think about gender, this and that. Now all of a sudden, I bet you're going to see all of them. So all these writers never envisioned gender in the future like this. They're probably kicking themselves
Seriously.
for losing that opportunity.
No, like
you know what I mean? To write gender in the future. In the way they tell stories, because they
is
shape
this a
the culture through
passing-
stories.
So one thing I've heard, and I haven't done much research, is the things that we're seeing society-wise when it comes to things like gender, these incredible concentrations on disparities and things like that. It occurred in the late years of the Greek or the Roman Empire, if I'm not mistaken, in the waning years after the empire was losing its influence throughout. It became more of a stagnant type society where these kind of ideals and things started happening more and more. Obsession with chefs was one of them. Obsession with chefs, indulging. Became much more self-indulging.
Oh, you're talking about like more like the Renaissance?
No. More self-indulging lifestyles occurred later on in the Roman Empire.
That's been happening for even way before the Roman Empire, like self-indulgent or like.
Well, it was just it
It's
became
sort of like
such
the
prevalent.
id opened up.
Yes,
Okay.
it showed a waning empire.
Okay.
It was a societal symptom of a waning empire, a loss of mutual.
Well, you could say biblically they were given over unto themselves.
What?
They were so corrupt they were given over unto themselves, and then they
Sure.
just toppled.
Interesting. Yeah.
So what I was going to say is,
You're
not
talking into the
comparing,
mic. There you go.
not comparing Trump and Patton, but it's that sort of alpha mentality.
Back up a bit.
And I think this is why I think we see that happening is because it's sort of like the alpha cannot help but be the alpha. And when you read up on Patton, I mean he wanted to go right after the Russians, and we might have been better off for it. Who
he
knows?
wanted to nuke the
But
Russians.
He wasn't playing around though.
No joke. He wanted to nuke the Russians.
Well, but if right now you could bring someone back, if we had to go to war, who are you bringing back? He's one of the top five. That guy wasn't playing around. It's like Joan of Arc from France.
But
I mean,
is it
the
not
victories were
better-
there. You know what I
isn't-
mean?
Isn't it not better that we did not nuke the Russians?
Well, it is, but
At the time, it made a lot of sense to nuke. Hey, we got this device that can take over the world. Why not we just use it and take over the world?
But
You know?
because
Well,
it never.
Isn't that funny? Like, why don't they fucking? I don't.
Well,
I've always thought about that. I'm like, it's. How do I say this? Like, do we? Whatever. The thought in my head was like, why don't we just fucking nuke everyone and then just fucking
Well,
get
especially
it fucking over with?
like what
What
I've
the
heard
fuck?
like extremist
stop
people
waiting
say.
around here.
It sounds horrible. I'm not saying I'm just saying like these fucking people are Why don't they just
Well,
fucking do that?
I have a
I
redneck uncle who says, "Why not just bomb the Middle East into a damn parking lot and start it over?" You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a family member that's like, just bomb it all,
Yeah,
nuke it
there's
all, and put
so
up a
many
Walmart.
people that- yeah.
But just like they say,
big one,
Trump
though.
is
A big one.
extremist. It's kind of like we don't know what would have happened if you'd have let, let him go through and scare the hell out of these guys and win.
Well,
It's like Vietnam. You handcuff ourselves. And what are we doing?
Well, the thing
What
I
the hell are
love,
we doing here?
the one thing, the redeeming factor for Trump for me is that we no longer have military drills with South Korea. That was due to talks with North Korea. Awesome, if North Korea attacks South Korea, we're still gonna mop them off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But now we're no longer showboating our military might. He wants to pull out of Syria. Fuck yeah, pull out of Syria.
Well, the whole area is doing better. I mean, the refugee count it's not
much
being
farther
spread.
down. Yep,
You know, I mean,
yep.
Obama and them, and they were like the Arab Spring. It's great. It ended up not being so great. You know what I mean?
No, it ended up being an absolute shit show. And what they killed Muammar Gaddafi in Libya is it's the toilet
Yeah.
of the world right now. You know, the thing is it's one thing if you want to go in and change a government, but the thing is
Can you do it for the better?
Well,
track record says no.
It will exactly.
Not
Well,
right.
the thing
Yeah,
is
yeah.
you need cultural similarities.
Yeah.
That's why we had success in Europe and somehow in Japan. You have to have a culture that is accepting of what your culture
Well, it's
is.
almost like truth a
You
little
know,
bit.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I mean, Japan didn't really
So-
accept.
Well, but long story longer though, it's like with the whole argument, it's like Romney couldn't get it done. McCain he couldn't get it done, and there's a reason Trump got it done. It's because of the alpha, and sometimes you can't
What did he
hold
get
that
done?
alpha back. Well, he won
That-
the
that
chip.
is-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
He got to the top of the mountain.
Gotcha.
I have every year. I get Facebook reminds me of this picture I shared a week after the election, and it was a snapshot of the New York Times, and it all was what's Hillary Clinton gonna wear when she accepts the nomination.
Yeah.
It was Hillary's got this in the bag. We did it.
The Young Turks election
I
night
don't even know.
coverage. You just
I
got to
watched
love
that.
it.
I remember watching that. Young
Yes, I
Turks.
probably sent it to you.
Oh, we were. Yeah. Yep. Just a reaction. No,
I
was watching it
remember
live.
I was talking to my sister on the phone, like right when the tide turned. I'm like, who the fuck is voting for Donald Trump? like I voted for what's his name, Libertarian candidate.
You did?
Yeah, fuck it. Of
Johnson.
course.
Wow.
Not
Okay,
Johnson.
Gary. I was
Gary
saying-
Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
Gary
Yeah, talk
Johnson,
about
yeah.
weird though, man. That bro came off as
Gary
weird.
Johnson. He
came off as weird, not just weird.
He came to Shakopee like a week before the election,
Oh.
and he got up there, and I'm like, "You already lost.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
you're done." Like we knew he wasn't gonna win. I'm like, "You're not even gonna get 5%. Like you."
I
fucked
feel like
up.
that's like the libertarian party, though. We've actually
No, it's
met
not.
up with a lot of libertarian.
Yeah, I almost
locals
ran for
in Houston
city council.
council.
That's good. You know,
Dude, he would have been the most normal fucking libertarian ever. We sat down. There's some really cool people there, but they're weird.
Oh, I've been to a couple like Republican meetings,
Yeah.
like with the delegates and stuff, because I did the primary.
Yep.
They're pretty much begging anyone in the room who's coherent to run for office.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing was,
Begging in St. Paul,
the
Minnesota.
Libertarian Party was like, if you try to run, the Republicans consider us a no-go zone, more or less. They're like,
Yeah.
you're not going to win, so they don't spend any money here. But if they have someone decently competent, just to at least have them on the ballot, they will try to steal libertarians and shit like that.
Well, because if the whole saying is if you are voting for libertarian or independent, you are voting for Democrat or Republican.
Yeah,
is he-
exactly. Yep. So I think getting on to our next topic here. Actually, Donald Trump. I like the fact that we can fire government employees easier. That was great. That what he did. The right to try, which should have been passed under Obama. Basically, right to try is if you're terminally ill, if you have a disease that there's currently no good cure for, you can go outside the USDA and import drugs from other countries. So you can import drugs from Canada, Europe,
Yeah, no,
anywhere.
and that was something he ran on. But
Which
it
is
just,
he did it though, which
he
is
did
awesome.
It.
I love
Well, even
that.
you hear a lot about the
It's
sex crime
compassion.
stuff. The sex crime stuff that he stepped up that, and that's I mean, every one of us. I mean, you hear stories and it just breaks your heart. You know what I mean?
Honestly, like, in the fact, I was like, if Obama did that, they would have said it's the greatest thing in the world. But when Trump did it,
doubt.
yeah, when Trump did it, they're like, oh, but what about science? You know, what about science? You know, you can't really, you know, people should die so we can keep doing these experiments. No. Donald Trump did an amazing thing, and the fact that this man does not get any kudos whatsoever from any government, you know.
Well, and that's kind
media.
of a backstory to the McCain thing. Is McCain gets all the accolades, but when McCain ran for president, they treated him like crap too. So you play ball. Look at your legacy. It's like Jesus up on the mountaintop. Look at, I'll give you all this. They'll sing your praises. You'll be remembered. They'll have parades, and they're literally saying to Trump, you're going to go down unless you know, it's kind of just a weird thing. But when you said Trump's accomplishments, it reminds me of, I don't pretend to know anything about, my neighbor actually runs CCHF, which is Citizens Council for Health Freedom. So she's read the whole bill. She's talked to me. So, you know, and she's a very coherent person, you know, but I don't pretend
between the Valium. Okay.
No, she's very straight-laced, very classy lady. But
she just doesn't know how to be a.
Yeah, well, let's not go there. Very classy lady.
So I'm gonna edit that out.
Well, you can't because we're in here, so we're going, babe.
We're going.
No, just kidding. But
I'm watching.
John McCain, right?
Yep.
Trump's should have had a big signature achievement done with healthcare being repealed, and what happened? He came back and did the thumbs down. So when you say, what are his accomplishments? Well, there's a big thumbs down right now on a guy who ran for the past 7 years, and then the Republicans won, and they go, oh, my God, we weren't thinking we were going to win. We don't even have any legislation to go here.
They didn't have anything to run on.
Yeah.
So the thing is one thing I'm going to say is they try to replace
That's
it
not
with
Trump's
shit,
fault.
though. I will say they try to
That's the
replace it with...
party.
They replaced it with a compromise bill. They were attempting to replace the ACA with a compromise bill that could finally get past the House and the Senate. The thing was, it was basically Obamacare light. They should have done what Ron Paul wanted to do, which was just
They're not
going
gonna listen to Ron.
repeal and then come up with legislation after. You do a straight repeal, throw it back to the states, let the states determine what it is, because obviously no one can figure out healthcare.
Yeah.
No one can truly figure out healthcare. Canada
It's like
just
1/5
passed
or 1/6 of the economy.
literally Canada just passed a law a few years ago. They had to actually, it was government action to allow for private healthcare in Canada. They actually had such a need for privatized healthcare outside the government system in Canada that the government passed a law allowing it.
I
More or less repealed their national healthcare.
I wish I could trust the information that they have as far as how many when they went from Obamacare to how many people. What, is it called Obamacare? I hate
Well, it's the Affordable Care Act.
ACA.
Okay.
ACA from here on out.
I want I feel like I can't trust the statistics of.
Of course you can't.
Of how when that became in effect, they said that actually helped the private sector, or
Well,
What
sure,
it
Walmart
did-
dumped, and this, that, the other. Yeah.
What Walmart? What it did was it more or less guaranteed payments to insurance companies. It made it the law to have an insurance company.
So they were like, "This is great."
Yeah.
And the thing was, the decreased competition under the bill caused for a lot of providers to they kind of determined their markets, and they just sat there. There was the amount of competition lowered dramatically across the country. The thing is, it's like I can't buy the same insurance that someone in Missouri buys. There's these state lines, there's these state requirements, so not every single insurance plan can cross these state boundaries. It's too complex of a system, government-wise,
Well, and it's
regulation-wise.
designed that way too.
It's
Right.
designed that way because it's creating these mini monopolies.
Yeah,
in
well,
states.
and the ACA was a Trojan horse to single payer. That's what they want.
That's all it was.
And Obama's
Yeah.
on record
Yeah.
saying
Do
that.
we blame the care the companies that provide medical care as far as how much things, or do we blame the insurance companies?
Well, it's
What
sort of
I-
like government intervention. You
Sure.
know, I mean, it's like the insurance companies. I heard like a union person talking to like how they got such a sweetheart deal for like public sector unions. It was about Wisconsin and what Walker was doing, and they were like, but you know, it could potentially hurt the state over time. He's like, well, we can't negotiate against ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, at what point do you at what point does that get greedy?
Similar to what Detroit
You know what I mean?
Did with the auto workers union, they and the workers unions for the government there. They did such a great job of negotiating for these benefits that it ended up bankrupting
yeah.
the whole government.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they couldn't afford these huge pensions.
Like
you
a
know,
$15 minimum wage.
well, yeah. No, exactly. Well, and the thing was fuck, I totally forgot what I was going
Like,
to say.
if you want,
The pension.
Pensions in Detroit. No, what were we talking about right before that?
if you, what?
What were we talking about right before that?
Unions.
ACA,
We were.
no,
I
ACA.
was talking about
Shit.
how do
I had
we?
such a point.
Who's at fault? Is it the cost
Oh,
of
yes, I remember.
medical
Okay.
care?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean,
like and
things
how
are
we
just
don't
super
know?
inflated when it comes to healthcare costs, and it's
Exactly.
it's a crazy type of thing where you know we see when you have some type of third party arbiter that isn't the patient, that isn't the doctor, and they're in there, and people, you know, it's systems involving people end up being very flawed.
Under this new system, so they recently changed medical records to a electronic system. You know,
I have my neighbor. She put me hip. I listened to her for like an hour talking
Yeah.
about that. It's some real scary stuff.
apparently,
Well, it's just interesting.
doctors themselves click a mouse 4,000 times a day. 4,000 clicks a day, just going through with patients, going through their files, going through this common system here. I think common system is good. My main point, though, is that the reason why healthcare is so expensive is because you have to be certified to do so many things. You know, you can't just learn a
Politics,
surgery,
pretty much.
You know, yeah, you can't just learn to take out an appendix. You know, you have to learn to do basically everything. You have to go through years and years of
yeah,
medical school.
yeah, yeah.
You could probably learn how to take out an appendix in a summer. You know, if
Yeah.
you
yeah.
honestly, and if we
Well,
divvied it up in that way, it would diversify. It would increase.
Our bodies
the
are
number
just
of
fleshy
people.
fucking cars. Instead of a bolt,
We're just
We're water people.
We're
Well,
ghosts
well,
driving.
no, I'm just saying, like, you know, there's you fucking transmission. I mean,
Yeah.
you get the same long, the same whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's just a
cut
system,
open,
pretty much.
boom, and stitched up.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like medicine, it's a little different. But
No, it's
surgery,
not the same. It's
Surgery.
tranny is the same thing
I
as
think
an
you may be
appendix.
oversimplifying this one, Chris.
we all take oil, all right,
It's
and
the blood. It's the blood of the
But
car.
there could have been a mechanism. We had look at if everyone agrees Obamacare is bad, even Obama says it's flawed. So
Yeah.
the point is, if
it's
we
not.
had a moment where we could have done something about it, and that was John McCain's legacy moment for the media when he did the thumbs down. That's it. It's like he signed that dotted line. The media said that's our darling, and whatever hope there was to get to it, and sort of, I think it was full repeal for that one, and then they were going to replace.
No, it was with the
Repeal and
replacement.
replace.
It was a repeal and replace bill. I'm pretty damn sure.
You know, well, look,
Uh,
I remember when Paul Ryan was touted as the new superstar, the budget hawk, the wonk. You know, I was, you know, I painted a house where got friends with a guy where his daughter was married to his brother. You know, and I was like, wow, I want to, you know, a Paul Ryan.
Can you invite me over to dinner?
Well, you know, it's like, why? I actually was like, you know, you know, this guy's, you know, he's doing good, and then all of a sudden you look and he's like, this guy's just a suit, just like everyone else, just talking it to talk it, and you know, there's too many of them there. You know, so
It
that's
was
why
a
the
skinny
repeal wasn't.
It was a
there-
skinny
that's it.
repeal. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So
It's
the
sort of
thing
like
was-
a deferred destruction.
Yeah, well, what it was going to do was that skinny repeal, if I'm not mistaken, it was basically going to make the if they didn't do anything after, it would have resulted in such a healthcare system that would have just been disastrous that they would have had to have done something. You know, it would have created such an untenable situation.
What would it have done? Remember, was it Rahm Emanuel or Obama said, "You never let a good crisis go to waste"?
Yeah, I think it was Rahm
It
Emanuel,
would have
yeah.
set the table for a good crisis.
Which is the state I'm from.
Yeah.
Illinois. Yeah,
Illinois.
Rahm Emanuel, who sucks. Yes. So, but no. I think my main point is you should be able to. You should be able to learn a surgery, become certified in that surgery, and be able to complete that surgery.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to know how to do a heart transplant and a toe amputation.
Or
know?
if you're going to college for one thing, they shouldn't
Compartmentalizing.
make you take all. They make you take. It's like they just like you were saying. They just make you take all of these electric courses
Yep.
Correct.
and all these subjects. You're
Correct.
like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
then they say, here's a big bill.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally. And that is the thing. It's like I feel like it's too overly complex to become a doctor. It's we still hold these doctors in such high regard in our society because it's such a complex
What's
thing.
so
It's
funny is
such a commitment.
They're still the whole biggest thing though is I think it's so funny. They're practicing.
I love that.
Oh yeah, there
No,
you
they
go.
are like
Yeah.
they're practitioners.
Practicing medicine. Yeah.
They're practicing medicine. They will always continue to practice.
Yeah, true. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's it's so crazy. Yeah, it's like you have to become a full blown mechanic in order.
Fuck me.
But
I just
You're
do oil
like
changes.
that's like the stepdad. It's like your body's a car.
Your body's a car, okay?
And
It
you
needs-
can't use your
yes,
penis.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're just gonna you
you're
can't.
gonna break down.
Yeah, you just can't start it up and run it. You gotta warm it up.
But
if you rev the engine while it's cold, you're gonna ruin it.
You're gonna
Okay.
pop
All right.
something.
are you checking your belts for cracks?
I mean, start
Are you
checking
checking
your
your belts for cracks?
I can't stress
If
this
you
enough.
stick stuff in your exhaust, it's gonna ruin the engine. Okay.
Lube. So stupid. All right. So, anyways, all right.
Fuck, it's 10:12.
Oh man, sorry, listeners, that it's like 2:30 a.m. or 2:30 p.m.
And the news is next.
And the news is next.
Well, I guess we could just kind of wrap it up with a quick 10-minute rundown and just go, we were talking about free speech and then just kind of, especially Trump today passed a campus
Yeah.
sort of, making them.
Resolution.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it didn't have much teeth. But the thing is, it's like, I was
like
watching.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
I mean,
See,
I like
that's
waffles.
well-
I was
well,
talking about her.
I guess
her,
that's kind of. It feels oxymoronic to me that
that a word?
they're stating that the government is saying, you have to allow free. You have to allow speech. Like it's like, isn't that still coercion of speech? Like.
Well, it's a
Public
step in
college,
the direction.
maybe.
I agree that it doesn't have much teeth. You know what I mean? But it's a step in the direction.
Sure, yeah. Which I can understand. I like it. I like the idea of people standing up for free speech. It's just scary to me when
Well, but
I feel like when Donald Trump attaches his name to something
Yeah.
like that, it gets backlash. It becomes more politicized than it needs to be. Our inalienable right to free speech should just be considered our right.
well, it is,
Not
and there's the
political.
problem. It's kind of like how do you define it? Because if you don't define it,
Yeah.
then how do you make any law around it? And that's the problem. And free speech is something that, like you said, it's just blanket. Leave it. You don't to sit and define it makes no sense.
Yes, because then it's ripe for restriction once
Yeah.
it's defined. That's why I think they're like, there's always these people that are like, oh, free speech, hate speech. You can't go into a theater and yell fire. And right now you can't. You can't go in and yell fire in a place because it's against law. You're
But
creating
is that
an unsafe
is that free
environment.
speech?
I think it should be.
No.
I'm a
To a
free
degree.
speech absolute.
No,
I'm
free
kind of-
speech. That's not free speech. That is
free
false-
speech.
No, that's not free speech. It's falsely warning.
You can put. There's so much ambiguity to everyday speech that you
There's
could
a-
do that
quit
same
touching and
argument
grabbing
to
shit,
everything.
Jesus.
I'm holding the goddamn
Mr.
shit.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
That's Beto over here.
I'm like
Beto,
Mr.
yeah.
Fidget over
No,
here.
no.
Beto.
There is no absolute truth in this world, and you can put these false equivalents to literally anything, and you see this throughout society. The sensitivity of society today could have the exact same reaction to someone yelling. It's like the
Yeah.
misgendering.
I feel like that's way too black and white thinking of
Well-
like saying fire, right? In a public place. Oh shoot.
What happened? Yeah.
All right. So I feel like when you are in a public place and you yell a cautionary, like, get out, like you're warning people.
Well, what you're doing is like a terroristic threat at that
you're
moment.
not. There's one thing to say, this movie is crap compared to everyone get out. There's a bomb.
Yeah.
Like that's a false accusation. That's a false.
You know what's interesting is you don't think of like a terroristic threat as something being identifying as language, but that's what it is.
Sorry. I was trying to talk into the mic. Get in here. Sorry. But I mean, of course, yeah, let him in. But you're talking on the side of the mic. All right. Okay. Get down. Fucking dog. He's just a dumb, adorable dog.
You know,
So there's
at
a
the
couple
end of the day, I mean, when you just start defining what is free, you're actually defining what isn't free, and everything is.
But
It's like
we're not saying he's not. You're not free to say whatever you want. That's not what. I feel
But there's a skew. It's like the news. This is why you can't find unbiased news anymore, because we understand everyone has a bias. It's like if you get hit by a car, right, and then you get into a car accident, and let's say you're injured.
Yep.
The insurance company has a doctor who skews it to their point of view.
Oh, yeah.
Your lawyer, if you get a good lawyer, he's
Yeah.
going to have a doctor that's going to skew it to your point of view.
Yeah.
Neither one is technically wrong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the nuance of it, where it just really depends on. It's like, what is offensive? Jordan Peterson has banned his book in the New Zealand there because he took a picture with somebody that says proud or pro-Islamophobic or something like that. I'm Islamophobia or something.
Yeah.
That to them is deemed, as hate speech.
So-
or hate whatever.
So I want to.
But they still sell Hitler's Mein Kampf in
Yeah.
the same damn bookstore.
It's so okay. My couple of things.
So who's this judge?
Well,
You know what I
and
mean?
that's perfect.
Exactly.
So
that is the main concern for me.
Google-
Especially if
Orbiter
those
of
people-
OK speech.
Yeah, well, especially if those people deny a logos, they deny an intelligence to something, they deny a higher power or like order. You know what I mean? Because if
Okay, so my biggest thing is I'm going to bring up two things. Of course, to go back to the fire thing, but also I want to relate it, though, just to give you what I think as far as with the free speech. They're trying to come up with Facebook and Google and all that. They want to regulate hate speech.
yeah, well, they've been doing this for a long
Yeah,
time.
they have been, yeah.
But like actually pass laws,
Yeah.
and they want to come up with
What
actual,
is hate
is it
speech,
legislation
Chris?
or
Chris, what is hate speech to you?
hate,
To you.
hate speech is racism, and like I want your mother to die.
So the
Like,
thing
you know
about
what I mean?
hate speech, the only
It's-
definition
yeah, no, I
of
know,
hate
yeah,
speech
yeah.
is speech that I hate.
So-
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally the
Well,
definition
it's-
of speech.
it's diff-
speech
It's like
that I
somebody
hate.
getting the death penalty for a crime, and then you want to charge them for a hate crime.
Exactly.
It's
So
I mean,
So that was another thing.
No,
was-
hold on.
is-
I want to
is-
make.
Go ahead.
my
Go ahead.
point.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Yeah, no, you're
So
fine.
my point basically is that even though they're trying to monitor hate speech, but I think it's super fucked up, is because I feel like it needs to be open.
but that's the thing. If you open it, then you're in trouble. You open that. What is? What
not
isn't?
open. No. I'm saying like no. You shouldn't fucking monitor it. You should have like you're okay with saying I hate the blacks. I hate white people. I hate whatever. Fine, you fucking do that. I'm not gonna like. That's just you. You're doing your
You're
own
not going to
thing.
adhere to it, but you
I'm not going to
believe
adhere
that
to it.
they should be able to
but
say it.
yeah, like they
Yeah,
should be able to
sure.
like there should be able to be hate
But-
speech.
but-
whoa, I said it.
but-
did you hear that? What I just said?
Would society be better off if we regulated those thoughts to history?
The question then is
This
no.
is how they're
what,
trying
what-
to regulate these
what
ideas.
society
to-
then?
yeah.
That's a very good question. That's very good.
So that's
exactly. Not a free society. Not a free
No.
society. And the thing is I remember in junior high, like reading all these stories, like these simple, not simple, to us adults now, but profound. Where Fahrenheit 451, what was taught in that section there. Fahrenheit 451. The reason it's called Fahrenheit 451 because paper burns
documentary?
at 451 degrees. Okay, Fahrenheit 451 books were outlawed, and if you got caught with books, they would burn them, and that's why it was called 451, because that was the temperature books burned at.
Okay, cool.
So, and the thing is it was removing these ideas that were not considered to be helpful to society by a just these faceless people, more or less these backroom people. And the thing is they, when people read those books, Firefighter, basically the story for 451 was, because you guys didn't read 450 Fahrenheit.
So hurry this
451.
up.
How did you not read that book? What the fuck? You're both gonna read this book.
Well, I
you
can't
idiots.
read.
You goddamn idiots.
2 books I want to read. I want to read that, and then I haven't read 1984. I
What
wanna read
the
that.
fuck?
Awesome. Yeah.
I swear it probably is going to be like boom. It was like hearing Bob Dylan for the first
I
time.
am
It's like,
so
what?
I'm so happy about my childhood now. Like,
Yeah.
like those, I was forced to read those books.
Yeah. Well, was your mother
Animal
addicted
Farm?
to methamphetamine?
I mean, no, but we
Okay,
knew
well,
those guys.
that-
We knew those guys.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
so yes,
I knew
there's
that-
a difference.
I knew that trailer.
That's like the inside to the outside of the trailer. There's a whole other world on the inside of that trailer.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
No, but go ahead.
Okay, so it's the whole thing about this arbiter of truth and the more or less it's the coercion and the control of thoughts. They don't want
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
to think freely. The thing is there's no difference between thinking and speaking. At least we shouldn't think of it in that way. Speech and thinking, what goes on in your head should be able to be said out loud, even if people hate it.
Yeah.
Because those ideas should be allowed to be released and then debated and then put to rest. At
Rather
the
than
very least.
stifled.
Exactly. Instead of stifled, instead of having these fear reactions to ideas that make people uncomfortable, we need to be able to digest them, speak about them, and then decide what weight we should put to them.
I'm just thinking of like the darkest thing, and like yeah, I think fucking killing babies is. I want to fucking do that. Like I want.
that's the whole
but it's
thing.
better
I
for
want
Don't
to-
you want to hear those guys know it, so then you know who they are too?
Yeah.
So
That's
but-
true.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is it's like, do you put someone in a cage for life because of an idea they had?
Well, I think it's
No one was hurt. No one was hurt, but they thought us about doing something.
That's why I'm waiting
There's
for
a-
pre-crime.
But I mean, look
It's
at
pre-crime. That's what it is.
But,
It's pre-crime.
And sometimes that's what I mean by it's like you hear logos like truth. It's like sometimes it's like a buddy of mine. His mom passed away, right? And we're talking,
Yep.
and we're just talking about with this and that. And it's like right now I feel like whatever she was as a spirit is melted down. It's melted down to what's pure and truth, and it's like pure truth. So it's like it's no matter of what she felt or what we felt. It's just it's sort of like the flooding from the mountain that just carves the river now.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it is. You can't add to it, you can't take away from it.
Yeah.
And I just and I was just thinking that in relation to that.
I do like the idea of like human thought and emotion and like natural evolution of it there, like kind of being like similar to a river, like the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
It carves
So
its own
dirty.
path. It's dirty as shit. It's,
Well, but
honestly,
there's no-
maybe it's a
there's-
better
there's no-
analogy than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like the chaos is built in, but there's no sort of conscious effort for the chaos.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing but just purity in it.
Well, and the thing is like if you try to, and we have, these levees and things, and we're trying to control the flow of the Mississippi, what happens is, hey, the dam breaks or something, and we
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
absolutely understand the side causes or the potential causes of our actions with such a heavy subject.
Well, and you
Like,
can't
what-
change what is
Exactly.
or rearrange it. So.
No.
But yeah, no, we might have ran long, and I,
No, that's all,
I
yeah,
do want to
I
get
just
you
feel like
guys.
that's
No,
such
I
a
really-
great, interesting topic.
That was much better than I think the first half, so I was really
Yeah,
happy we
yeah,
did that.
yeah.
New Zealand, they're taking all the guns.
Well, I heard this and I got it. I think I got it from a good source when I read it. That they banned everything over a clip over 5 rounds.
Well, no, the thing
5
was removable
rounds.
magazines. are
5
illegal.
rounds. Do you know that
You
if
can't remove the
if you
magazines
were
either.
and let's say you're hawked up and you're willing to break in here, he might have a gun. He can shoot you 5 times, and you might still be able to withstand those and come after him.
Well, the thing was you can't
Especially if you're a
you
mom,
can't
there's
remove
multiple
the
burglars.
magazine.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't remove the magazine. The licensing system is getting a complete overhaul. Anything that's the thing is like semi-automatic is all outlawed. So are they all going to be bolt action?
It's pretty
that's
much
one
like
thing I don't
almost all the
understand.
guns
Honestly,
in America
it's-
would be banned.
They're all
It's
carbines.
only, and I don't know if there's a caliber restriction or not, but they did
Just
it
get
within
one bazooka.
a week, and then they're forcing people to pay back to give their guns in. They're
Oh,
forcing
wow.
people to turn their guns in. People without a record are having to turn in their guns because of a singular incident.
I don't like that just because criminals already, quote unquote criminals, already have guns, so they're not going to
Yeah,
be like,
no, they're not.
okay, here you go.
When it sets the
yeah.
precedent.
My thing is,
Evil tribe is going to have way more weapons than the nice tribe.
my thing is say you get rid of every single gun in the world, there is nothing that makes someone who's 72 pounds equal to someone who's 300 pounds, more than a gun. That's the thing here.
The
Parity.
I was
for
this
people
close
that
for
have
you,
a hard
hoping
issue.
you're not thinking that like I can stab 10 other people. You
No.
hear that argument of get rid of all the guns. Well, you'll still have a guy with knives and he can kill
Dude,
whatever, but you can't.
Do you understand that they are currently? There was a judge in the UK who floated the idea of dulling all the knives in London or in Europe.
Yeah, well,
heard
for reactionary
Dude, that was an
creatures.
actual thing
That
because
was it
London
really?
has such a high knife
I feel like that
crime.
sounds like my Mars woman.
No, that was a real thing. They actually floated the idea of dulling, especially the points of knives.
Well, that's how far we've
forcing
gotten
people.
sort of off track.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
it's in the UK.
well,
it's terrible.
did you and everyone know? I don't want to say her name wrong. Jamie Gloss, the 13-year-old
She sounds
from
familiar.
Wisconsin who was kidnapped. And
Yeah,
held
yep,
for a while.
okay, yep.
Well,
Yeah.
when somebody found her, a woman's walking, they found her, and then she grabbed her and she brought her to a neighbor's house. And it's like gives you goosebumps. But when she was doing the interview, she said she walked in the house. She said, "Put her in the bedroom and get the gun."
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? That gave me
Hell
goosebumps
yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
because that's what would have saved their lives.
Oh God,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's amazing to take the ability, like you said, there's a disparity in size, and in
absolutely.
physics, and next thing you know, they're not able
Ability,
to. Yeah, they're not
you
able
know?
to defend themselves. That defining, freedom was defined by that pistol or whatever gun it was. They didn't say what
At
it
least-
was,
at
but
least a
just
sense of
imagine
There was multiple
if you
guns,
say
I
get
guess,
the
but-
gun and that right isn't there. Who gets the right to decide
Well, the
that?
thing was, is they were praising the police that had responded in 36 minutes.
Yeah.
36 minutes. If that is how you're going to protect me, I should be able to at least have the option to protect myself.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, it's the you love hearing those
Well,
stories. I
they're not
remember
saying get
from
rid of guns. They're just saying get rid of
no,
semi-auto.
Yeah,
because
that's
that was the
normal
first
peeps.
bill. No, that was the first bill, and then they're going to they've actively said that they're going to continue
dwindle?
to go.
well, an
after
assault
them.
weapon is any single gun.
There is no such
know.
thing as an assault weapon.
No.
It's a black gun.
I've seen
An
I've seen-
AR-15 doesn't shoot, gigantic bullets. It shoots like 22s in a lot of these
Yeah.
things. So I mean, it's a type of thing
Hunting
where
semi-automatic hunting rifles have far more power than an AR-15.
well, and you know who Killer Mike is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Killer Mike said everyone should have 5 guns. And one of them is the AR-15. So I mean, and people don't realize too. The black community and gun rights. I didn't even know how close those two things were, connected until all of a sudden, I got a good buddy. His friend that I've got to know is Danny Ward. He's the head of the, I think if they might call it the Minority Gun Rights Caucus.
Oh, yeah?
I heard him on the radio the other day.
Yeah.
Sure.
But talking to this guy, and you look at and listening to Killer Mike, I think it was on the Joe Rogan's podcast. The right to defend yourself is like the most basic, essential thing.
Yeah.
Most
Especially
black
if-
communities
if
are
you-
not allowed to do so.
Well, think about that. Imagine if you're a target, and then they say you can't defend. Who is they? You know what I mean?
If I'm not mistaken, black men are the highest percentage of gun homicide victims. Does that sound correct? I know the
I would
majority.
say
The majority
it
of
has
gun
to be
violence
correct
is black
based
on
on
black.
yeah, based
right?
on statistic,
Yes.
it has to be correct.
And obviously, a lot of this happens in Chicago in areas that heavily
Houston.
Democratic rule. Yes, and that
I've
areas.
watched plenty of 48 hours.
Yeah.
to-
Oh, yeah.
It's areas that guns are more or less, especially handguns, are illegal. And the thing is
the biggest, yeah.
yeah, and the thing is it's not that these crimes are being stopped because these guns are illegal. It's these people that aren't able to defend themselves because they're not buying illegal guns.
Well, and if
That's
you
what's happening.
well, and if you think about it too, that the media portrays it like the robbers are against the cops and this that. It's like these illegal guns, they're owned by people who need protection from other bad guys, not the cops.
exactly.
They don't want
Yeah.
to shoot it out with the cops.
No.
That's the last thing they don't
No.
want.
Yeah.
So and it's like the cops don't want to shoot it out with them, but it's just an interesting thing that it comes down to this narrative of gun and police violence, and then everything's just taken way out of context. And the issue of 93% of I think black people are killed by other black people, and the gun violence is I think 50% of murders. I mean, these statistics. I mean,
they're
I don't even
horrible.
want to name them because I know them. It was 1996 when I was 13 was Murderapolis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Tupac was in his heyday saying thug life.
Yeah.
Kids walking down. I remember two guys walking down the hallway talking about I live my life in the fast lane, got police chasing me. I mean, this is the role models. And as a kid, you look back and you're like, wow. Sort of like all the people that told you to stay in school, and the ones that said, "Hey, man, do what you want to."
Well, I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point because we're talking about all this gun regulation during the safest time in human history. We want to restrict when we've never been safer in the history of humankind. And the thing is we more or less have all of our gun rights. Right now, gun ownership's at an all-time high, and yet we are the safest from guns.
No, and it's not even a coincidence.
Are we having any more mass shootings?
Well, mass shootings. I mean, why are those even? That's like allowing the extreme.
Yes, but we. Yes, I think.
I argue.
Ultimately, yes, right. But
I argue
still,
this point is you can do the biggest mass murder or the biggest catastrophe in a school happened in the early 1900s, and it was a bomb. And I argue this with a good buddy of mine is if you want to do the most damage, you use a bomb. A gun, you got to reload.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just common sense. I said it last week about, taking the ring instead of the register. You know what I mean?
I love it.
But it just is what it is.
Yeah,
if you're going to kill a lot of people, I mean, they flew planes into buildings. They wanted to take the building down. They used the planes as bombs.
Didn't really happen.
They use the planes as bombs, pretty much. So if you're going to cause as much trouble as you can do it with pressure cookers or whatever they call it. Go on the internet and look. You could blow stuff up.
Yeah, and the
except
pandemonium
for
it causes, it's all horrible shit. One thing
so
I mean,
the gun is it's a step above the knife as far as being the best weapon for mass killing someone. It's not. You could do as much damage with a van as with a gun. Even the Las Vegas shooter proved it. He had everything he could, and look at how many people he killed in an open field. Not that many. Not that.
It was like 100, wasn't it?
I don't. Well, but there was. If percentage-wise, he didn't kill more than 10% of them. I tell you that. I guarantee that.
Well, and what I want to know is why we not received any footage of this dude. None. Nothing was released.
Think about what is his profile.
There's people hiding and stuff like that.
Yeah, but what is his profile, though?
That hotel has cameras everywhere. Why did we not get a single profile?
Yeah.
There was another person in there. There's a lot of weird shit going on.
Well, he's one of those. Again, he's a left-leaning guy. You know what I mean? A little bit silly. You know what I mean? And then he doesn't fit the narrative.
If you're shooting on a country music festival, you're probably not the most Republican person.
Yeah, well, he looked at other stuff too, but it's kind of like weird. It's like Black Wall Street and stuff that you never hear about in school because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Sure.
And this guy just his race does. It's like the guy in the Florida who the Cuban guy who had the anti-CNN stuff and mailed some bombs.
It was the
if you look on the internet, there's two photos. One where you can clearly see he's a Hispanic man, and another one where he's white. And I was watching CNN the other day because, I sponge it in because I watch everything.
Yeah.
And then what does Don Lemon have a picture? The whiter version.
Oh, God,
and it's like you did that on purpose.
Well, it was the same thing with
the narrative.
who shot Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
The guy who shot Trayvon
Well, he
Martin.
was called a white Hispanic.
He was called, I heard white. I didn't hear Hispanic.
But they
I
even
heard
called
white.
it when
That
they
was
had
it.
to say it. It was white Hispanic.
It is such a narrative. It is they are, and the thing was is it because that they're driving for this narrative, or is it because when they say that and they understand they're being a little untruthful, more people are going to watch because A, it's this white dude, or B, hey, it's this Mexican
Well, you
dude.
can't deny deny that sensationalism is just a marketing tool.
Great
but I would say that I think there is nefarious
You think?
reason. Oh, I think it's the same thing with education. We see the same
down the
kind
rabbit
of
hole. I love
well, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's sort of like, look, the Catholic Church. We could stop the rabbit hole into education and say, let's go and look at the Catholic Church, and then we could come back and we're going to see the same type of, misanthropy that's man-made. That's just going to, kind of bubble up every time.
It's tough because I think that left-leaning people treat government and societal differences, they treat it as a religion, and then they have this overwhelming need to spread their own religion. I think it's really just how they view their ideology. They consider it humanitarian. They're missionaries, not teachers.
You said that, and one thing I noticed is the Marvel movie villains. They're all people.
Black.
No, but all the Marvel villains, just like what was it, the second Avengers? What was it? He had a
Thanos.
No, that was the third. Second,
You
Age
talking
of
about-
Ultron.
Which was the worst out of all of them, let's be real.
But what did Ultron say? He wanted to start humanity back
Cure
over.
yeah.
And this would be great. And I'm just the self-righteous good guy, and you just guys gotta.
Yeah.
I'll make you realize that I'm right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always the guy who thinks he's doing it for them. I'm doing it for you.
Loki
And-
never said that.
but
Which is why
but they
Captain
want to
America-
rewrite it in their image.
Yes, because the thing is and even
It's
with
villainy.
the best intentions, you still
Well,
individuality is the only morality you can have in pushing on anything. All of our everything I want of this world, I can affect with only myself. I can't conscript you to do my bidding, unless you voluntarily agree to it. I shouldn't be able to put you in a cage if you do something I don't like smoke pot,
Yeah.
like do any drugs. And actually,
we see
I'm
that,
very
nudging.
open to.
It's like in this
Nudging?
and that's kind of we talk about free speech, but it's like we are already accepting them using speech in a way that's to manipulate. So when they say, "Oh, that's hate speech," look, I was just
what
watching
you're
CNN.
putting out there.
Yeah, Brooke
Well,
Baldwin is like
that love
right
speech?
on,
The thing-
right on today, and it's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be impartial. You're
Well,
using your free speech to hate on something else because it's not what you internalize.
And we had seen how it had evolved from this microaggression phase that we had 2 years ago. It started off as microaggressions. Now it's hate speech. Now it's actually being enforced by governments like Canada and the UK.
It's ma'am.
It's ma'am. It's ma'am. She says with a deeper voice than me. But no, that's the crazy thing was it is the evolution of these bad ideas, and it's really concerning to me because I want it. I would have hoped that we would have seen what we have and then just expanded what we have even more instead of constricting it right now. Because that's really what it ends up being is, hey, I think the world should be like this. And I think everyone else should talk the way I think they should talk. I want them to talk. They should
Man.
think the
Never
way I want them
worked
to.
out anywhere.
Man.
And
Well,
it
the thing is,
never will, and they
but
know
it's
it won't.
continuing to be.
The-
It has not been
The
properly
schools are
rebuffed.
teaching, though, our children that, hey, if no one else is talking the way you want them to talk, they have to.
Oh, I have a
they
customer,
have to
Julie,
change.
who's a teacher. When during the election, we were talking, and she said she had students that would come to school crying because of Trump, and without and I've just known her for a long time, and I said, well, what are you teaching them?
Yeah.
And me and her had conversations. She's a real nice lady, and actually, I was working at the house next door, and she came up to me just 4 days ago, and she says. It was Monday. She says, "You were right. Trump won." And because
yeah,
I could
yeah.
see the writing on the wall because I'm in Frogtown in the Midway, so I talked to a lot of people, and most of the people who were kind of had black people, Mexican people, Asian people coming up to me, all of them like looking at me in the face saying they're going to vote for Trump, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And the day of the election at the polling place, there was because you fill out your ballot so you know where the circles go. So when you're standing there, you look at someone else's ballot, you know what they did.
Yeah.
And the lady in front of me, she had voted for Trump, and I'm like, huh. She looked like she'd be left leaning. Later that day, I drove Mua to vote, and I'm standing in line. I mean, he's standing in line, and I'm standing to the side. Mexican dude, he wasn't even hiding his ballot. Regular looking, Mujao looking Mexican dude. Voted for Trump, and I'm like, whoa. And then later that night, as I'm watching this, and it's like, I'm already seeing some magic on the wall here.
Honestly, there really was a groundswell. There really was.
It was common sense groundswell. Because there's where it's like the nudging happens as they break down the interpersonal connectivity to where you can't even have a one-on... Like, some people you can't even have a one-on-one conversation with because of all the politics and the emotions and the triggers.
It's echo chambers,
Yeah.
and the thing is people don't expose themselves to opposing ideas, and they don't know how to handle it when they come into contact with them. They think the whole world agrees with them, and then when they find out, oh, it's not true, it's like they're saying like
It's a meltdown.
Yeah, it's like an inch is actually twice as long as you think. I don't know.
Well, it's
Which is what I tell my girlfriend.
I say,
it's a meltdown, but it's
figure
weird
when
how
you get really into it.
Yeah.
it's like I've don't use the term snowflake anymore. I do a lot of debating in different places, so it's like I get
I think
kind
both
of
sides
rounded.
can be snowflakes.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like that's like a little microaggression. So it's like if I want to have a conversation, because it's hard to have conversations.
Bitch.
It's hard to have conversations with people on the left, right? Very hard to keep a conversation with someone on the left. So you got to be
Believe me, I
mindful.
found out.
Yeah, you got to be
Now I don't even
mindful of
think-
those boundaries. You know, so it's like you can't even that's a trigger word, and that's just sort of to me is like just it doesn't even mean anything. So it's like now you can't even talk to someone without having to follow their little yellow brick road.
Yeah, it's a
Otherwise, they're not gonna
hypersensitive
listen.
time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a hypersensitive
It's like you
time.
already kind of know what their train of thought is, and you need to have them finish it out. And
Yeah, they're like, let's ban 5-round clips.
I'm
So
very
anyway.
sorry.
Yeah,
I very
that's-
much enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
I'm so fucked for tomorrow. I gotta go home.
We have to go. Yep. So we're gonna
I
wrap
have
this
to
up. Everyone, thank you very much for listening to
Absolutely.
us.
Give us a like and a subscribe
like and a
on
share,
Facebook.
Subscribe, share, please.
22
Share
likes.
is
22
awesome.
likes.
Yeah.
22 shares.
And Dennis is taking his shirt off.
Yep.
I was.
Yep. I
We,
was, but now
we'll
no.
take a videotape. Yep. There we go.
He's-
Uh,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Damn, he is so white.
He's so white. He's got a white beater on.
He's got a white, it's a white shirt.
White shirt, whatever. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so yes, you guys have a great night. We wanna
Absolutely.
thank you
or
for coming
day,
by,
or morning, or
day,
evening,
whatever.
afternoon.
No, it's
All right?
9:38 p.m.
It's 10:30 at night, and the news is next.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is I don't know what number it is
22
anymore.
shares.
22
Number
shares.
9. Number 9. Yeah.
So
Number 9.
We just want to say
Number 9.
thanks for listening, and thanks for listening to. Well, that's
that's
your
your
Opinion, man.
All
Oh,
right,
we had
yeah.
all three of them
Hey,
there.
all right.
there we
Have a
go.
good night, guys.
What are we going to do about the other generation? How will we ever communicate without communication? When we are using words of other ways.
They're much too big to try to dig the colorful names we say.